The 2023 Trust House New Zealand Cycle Classic will once again see riders from across the world converge on the Wairarapa for 5 days of international stage racing. 15 teams comprising of 10 nations will take on the Winery District before contesting around New Zealand's capital Wellington. This will include the introduction of a circuit around Miramar on the penultimate day. Since its inception in 1988, the tour has seen several champions introduce themselves to the world stage. These have included the likes of Brian Fowler, Robbie McEwen, Julian Dean, Richie Port and George Bennett. At the end of 5 days, who will add their name to the illustrious list of winners of New Zealand's only UCI 2.2 sanctioned race? Day 2 of the New Zealand Cycle Classic saw the riders depart Masterton for the traditional finish over in the winery town of Martinborough. 125 kilometres with blustery conditions with side and tail winds made life very difficult for the bunch. But it was Sean Moran of Tandem Co-Pro, the Australian-based team, who found himself out in the lead by himself for a number of kilometres. Eventually joined by Jack Aitken from St George, the most combative from day one, and Camden Feint of the Oxford Edge Christchurch-based team. This trio entered onto the circuits of Martinborough for the 9 laps, continually trying to keep at bay the chasing peloton, who were slowly but surely reeling them in, and when it came to the bell lap, the bunch was starting to set themselves up for the major sprint finish as the 3 escapees were drawn back into the main bunch. As we entered in with 800 metres to go, it was open slather for the sprinters to try and take the bunch kick into the main street, into the square of Martinborough. And eventually New Zealand representative Kian Watts came flying down the inside in the last 30 metres to take a decisive victory over the Australian Matthew Rice from the Case team and Luke Mudgway of the Black Spoke Pro Cycling team to conclude a fantastic sprint finish on day 2 of the New Zealand Cycle Classic. Well, Drew, welcome along to the New Zealand Cycle Classic. How's it been for you and the team over the first 2 days?
It's been good. It's been pretty challenging with the weather. A lot of rain, a bit of wind, and we're looking forward to the rest of the race.
And you must have come into this pretty positive with a fantastic 4th placing at the recent Aussie Nationals.
Yeah, I was really happy with that day. I've been feeling really good lately. I came here with a fair bit of confidence from that, so see what happens today, I guess.
Over 2,000 metres of climbing here today. What are you sort of expecting from the field?
Not too sure. I think Black Spoke will obviously try to control it with Oram in the lead. I think he's a good shout for holding on to that jersey today. A lot of riders are sick today though, so it'll be interesting to see if that has any impact. It might be a bit harder to control with less numbers. So yeah, I think it's just I'll probably just try and wait for Admiral and see what I can do there. Oh, Jack, it's been a fantastic first 2 days for the national team.
Yeah, it's been really good, especially with yesterday Kian getting up for the win. We've executed a really good lead out in the final there, and also Xander's still in the white jersey, so yeah, it's been a good first 2 days.
Now, we know you're a man that loves going uphill, and of course there's plenty of climbing here today. Yeah,
today's definitely the day I've been looking forward to. The first 2 days has been about saving the legs. Gave it a wee bit of a nudge in the final yesterday, but it's definitely been all in for today, so we'll see what we can do.
And have you had an opportunity over the last few days to try and check out some of the opposition coming into today?
Yeah, it's been hard actually. The first day, because there was a lap shortened, everyone sort of was getting over that little wee KOM. And yesterday obviously it was pretty flat. So we're not really sure who the strong climbers are yet. We know Black Spoke will obviously be playing a big role with Oram and also Josh Burnett. But it'll be interesting to see what they do today.
Of course, there's been a lot of talk about Admiral's Hill. It's about 10k of climbing at the finish, but there's a lot of climbing prior to that. So how do you expect it will roll?
Yeah, well, we think Black Spoke might try to put someone early in the break and then have Oram maybe hold back for the final climb. But of course, last year with Mark being the strongest, the national team just had to attack him all through the day. So we're not sure if it's going to play out like that again, so we're just going to follow the good guys and see what happens.
Well, we look forward to seeing you guys in action today. Good luck.
Yeah, cheers, thank you.
Well, Josh, we come into the Queen stage, over 2,000 metres worth of climbing here. So what are you expecting with your team and, of course, the entire peloton going into it?
Yeah, look, for us, we're in a really great position with James in the yellow jersey and myself and Logan still up there on the GC, and pretty suited to the climb, so I think we're pretty excited about today, and no doubt it's the day that shapes the GC, so it's exciting for everyone for sure.
And a big shift of team for you at the beginning of this year here, so how's that gone early on in the 2023 season?
Yeah, first race for Black Spoke this week, so it's been good to get to know the boys in the race environment. Obviously, I knew them all pretty well before this, so it's been good to race them and race all my old teammates as well. They've been giving me a bit of stick this week, which has been fun, and yeah, it'd be good to battle out there with them today as well.
We cast our minds back only about 8 weeks ago. I'm sure it's right at the forefront for you still. Tour of Southland taking out the win. First Southlander since '94, now coming into this tour here. That must be a boost of confidence knowing that you can mix it with the best.
Yeah, for sure. The race definitely changed how I sort of viewed myself as a rider and what I can do. So yeah, I've got a lot of confidence, and with the team around me we have here, I think we can definitely get the job done, and I think if it's me, Orem, Curry, we've got a really good chance at winning the race and the stage today.
Oh, Matt, fantastic effort yesterday, getting second in the stage, a close chance of taking that victory.
Yeah, it was pretty close. The boys rode really well for me. Probably had to go a bit early though into a headwind, which was unfortunate, but yeah, really happy with it.
And can you tell us a bit about the green team?
Yeah, Cash Park Up. It's a new team out on the scene this year, and we're probably going to be doing a fair bit of Asia Tour racing this year, which will be good. So hopefully we have a good year. We've got a really strong team, which is nice. So it should be a good year for us.
And you've been very proactive as a team over the last couple of days.
Yeah, we've had a fair bit of play in the field today and yesterday, so it was pretty nice to see that as well.
And what are you expecting of today's big climbs?
Hopefully just sit in and cruise in the finish, but we'll see. Might be the first climb's pretty hard and it's pretty early in the race, so we'll have to get over that, which will be pretty tough. Yeah.
And the conditions seem to be pretty ideal for it. Might be a bit of a tailwind at the start.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be good. Get the day done quicker. Yeah, and it's definitely improving from stage 1 and 2, which is nice.
Oh, good luck for you and the team today.
Yeah, thanks.
Overcast conditions greeted the riders this morning as they set sail for the New Zealand Cycle Classic's Queen Stage of 155 kilometres, heading out of Masterton, out through Gladstone, and then uphill for the majority of the day. Heading over the Tafarao Hill a few times, they go through the lime works and they zigzag throughout the hills before eventually making their way up the steep incline of Admiral's Hill. It was out of the race last year, but has been reintroduced to make life very tough for these riders today. We expect to see a lot of the light riders, the powerhouses on the hill climbs, take advantage of today's stage. So the bunch rolls off in the neutral section here in Masterton, and what is expected to be the defining day in the tour this year. Will we see a massive shake-up here of this general classification? I think the answer will be yes, because we've had a number of the sprinters in some of the earlier stages who won't be looking forward to the uphill finishes as we see them here today. The riders getting plenty of fluid into themselves for what expected to be a pretty fast and furious for some, but I wouldn't be surprised for a number of others. They'll be trying to be well measured in their efforts across the 155 kilometres and be hoping to try and just survive to the base of the final climb of the day. As per usual, we see the peloton stretching out as the flag's been dropped here in the neutral section as a few riders try and scramble themselves off the front. As per usual, this takes a few kilometres to establish itself before the leading teams make the decision that they're quite happy with who has gone off the front. We saw the KOM jersey head on through there as they made their way through the first few kilometres just on the outskirts here, heading across towards Gladstone, but at this point in time, very much still together as you see them zigzagging across the road in their efforts to try and get themselves off the front of the race. And here we go, 3 riders now, potentially a 4th one, trying to get themselves across, and the way they started to spread across back in the peloton would indicate that they're quite happy with this quartet getting away early in the stage. And it's yesterday's stage winner in the black colours, the New Zealand Silver Fern on his jersey there. Kian Watts, taking out an outstanding sprint finish yesterday, has decided today he would like to head off the front. Now, I wouldn't be surprised. This has a lot to do with the fact that there is a sprint available for the Wiz Wireless Sprint Ace about 50 kilometres into the stage. So this could be a key reason for him to head off nice and early as they make their way up the first of the King of the Mountains points. And we'll see no doubt one or two riders here try and pick themselves up a few of the points. Not necessarily Watts, as I said, he's got a different agenda on the cards here today as these four settle themselves in as Matthew Wilson is the man who will get the first lot of points. Not a lot of challenge from the remainder of the quartet there. He'll secure maximum points there and start pushing his bid to try and take out the King of the Mountains here on day 3. So we have Kean Watts, Richard Lawson there in the Oxford colours, Matt Wilson of the Rushfellow Ridley, and Bentley Niket Olden of the Case team. They are the four off the front. As not surprisingly, we see back in the front of the peloton, the Black Spoke team. And finally, tucked in behind, right in there in the yellow jersey, of course, is James Oram, being well looked after by his lieutenants there to ensure that he is protected here in the early stages of this 155 kilometres. No doubt they've had plenty of discussion as to the options available to them today here. Plenty of cards to play. They've got some very strong men available, and they'll try and control things here for as long as they possibly can. As James said to us yesterday in the post-interview after the stage, it's all about trying to get to the base of Admiral's Hill with about 10 kilometres to go. If they can control it to that point in time, they'll be quite content. As our four off the front continue now to roll smoothly together here, again, forgetting about the colours on their back here, they know they have to unify and try and ensure they can open up a decent gap, and it's coming over race radio. They're starting to extend this now to over 3 minutes on the chasing peloton. As Watts hits onto the front again, as we said, already a stage victor in this year's tour, as they make their way up the many climbs here throughout the day. And this will suck a lot of energy out of these riders, and there's quite a bit of sickness going through the peloton at the moment, so that won't be helping a number of these riders here. Great shot here of the man that took out the SBS Bank Tour of Southland some 8 weeks ago, Josh Burnett, riding now for the team with the yellow jersey, and there he is, James Oram. These are the sorts of guys who are serious contenders for the final climbs up to the end of the stage as they lead their team through. Some 4 minutes now behind the leading quartet as they come across the line for the sprint ace in a few kilometres time here. They won't be concerned by that. They've missed out on some of those points, but it comes over race radio that Kean Watts, as we suggested, has picked up the maximum points in the sprint, and that now should put him into that green jersey here on day 3 of the tour. And here he is, the man at the front of the race, continuing to pound on the pedals here as they continue to try and ensure that they can keep at bay that chasing peloton. It's going to be a big ask over 155 kilometres here. And as you can see, the vast majority of it heads uphill. Today, some of these climbs, they will reach gradients of over 17% towards the end of the stage. It's going to really suck the energies out of them here as we see Bentley, the man from the Case team, that's the green team. Him and his team have been very proactive, as is a number of the international teams over the last few days, which has been fantastic to see. As we said, we have some 10 nations involved in the tour this year, and they've all come out each day to try and challenge for the stage victories and for the various classifications involved in the tour. The riders now just continuing to ride nice and smooth as a unit here, as much as you can as you're heading uphill each and every few kilometres here as we begin the King of the Mountains number 2. And that for these riders to try and pick up further points for themselves for this KOM jersey. And it looks like Matt Wilson there for the Rushfellow Ridley team, number 114, is going to go close to picking up himself some maximum points once again and is keen to really push for that traditional polka dot jersey. Meanwhile, back in the peloton, a few surges going off the front. Bit of a different look here as we no longer see the Tour Leaders team on the front of it. And so there's a bit of reaction. Young Jack Drage here, he's another favourite for today, a good climber. He makes sure he follows the wheels as they start to stretch out a little bit. It looks like the Black Spoke team, though, getting things back under control once again as they try and ensure that they just keep it a well-measured effort over this day. It is a huge day, as we've said time and time again here, and you've got to time it to perfection. The body can only do so much, and we are into day 3 here of this 5-day tour early in 2023. Our 4 out in front, And we've got one man we've got to give a big shout out to there. That's the Oxford Edge man, Richard Lawson, in amongst that group of 4. He's a man who didn't even intend on riding in the Tour. He came here as a manager for his Oxford Edge team. And unfortunately, one of his riders at the last moment couldn't ride, so he had to get his bike up here and got it at 10 p.m. the night before the Tour started. Threw on the Lycra the next morning, and now he finds himself out in front, as he was last year in this particular stage. So we'll see what him and his team can produce here today. He's done a fine effort, as are the team of the Tour leader. We've got the likes of Mudgway on the front here at this point in time, trying to control things. Of course, Mudgway third in yesterday's stage. Today, he's been given the job of, on the front, you're going to try and help control things along with the rest of his teammates to ensure that they can keep this bunch well and truly under control. Now the rider's starting to look to take on some food. Now it's a UCI event, that's the international cycling body. They have certain rules, and from about the 30k mark down to the last 20k of a stage, there will be areas set aside where the feeding can happen from the teams, and they'll often have different members of their team on the side of the road to provide them with the gels, the rice, there's fruit, there's all sorts of things, and different riders like to have, and they keep themselves well hydrated, obviously, to try and maintain the energy levels that are being sapped out there on day 3 of the Tour. Meanwhile, our quartet, though, they are truly doing a fantastic job of it here, now in excess of just over 5 minutes as they swing round one of the corners here out of Glasgow after that sprint, heading towards another one of the climbs of the day here. They're quite content just to roll smoothly together, and it looks like they're sharing the workload very evenly, which is not always the case in a break. Now, as we scan back to what was a group of 4 riders, we are down to 2 and possibly 1, as it looks like Niket Olden, the man from the Case team, has attacked the man that was last with him. That is Richard Lawson of the Oxford Edge. Looks like Watts is gone, Wilson is gone here, and he has set sail here to try and take victory. There is still about 40 odd kilometers remaining in the stage. This would be a huge effort here to try and take out a stage and hold off the chasing peloton, who eventually will start to have to wake up a bit here. We're getting over race radio. They have dropped it down to just over 4 minutes, so they are starting to pick the pace up a little bit, but they no doubt won't be totally aware of the sort of riders that are off the front here, the strengths of some of these riders from overseas. And it looks like Olden here is looking in some fine form. He's just settling into it. It's a long way out. Well, in terms of kilometers, it's not so much a long way out, but it's the terrain in which he has to take on. As you can see him getting out of the seat, trying to find a nice smooth rhythm. That's what he's after here, as he tries to keep the heart rate under control. But another fantastic effort here by the Case team. As we've said, they've been out there day in and day out, and you can see them pounding on the pedals, but the time is tumbling. The peloton is on its way, but can they time it to perfection? We're not too sure. As they head on down one of the descents here, you can look back, and as they fly on through, there's a few riders starting to come into picture as they shut it down now to within about 30 seconds, and we are down to about 25 kilometers to go here, as this young man from Australia continues to try and hold off at bay the chasers from the peloton, who are not only looking for a stage victory here, but potentially a number of riders, given the fact that the top 20 were only 30 seconds apart coming into the stage. Someone else could potentially take on the yellow jersey onto their shoulders this afternoon. It looked like they're about to catch him, but he's opened it up once again. He is not giving in here. So a small chasing group trying to get themselves across to the leader as we approach just over 10 kilometers to go. And it's Campbell Pithy of the St. George team, a fine rider indeed. He's taken out stages across a number of key tours over the years. He seems to have been given the job to drag these other riders across. No one else interested in trying to do any of the work, and he's the motorbike that's going to try and shut down the man that's been out all day long. And of course it should be the man who will receive the most aggressive rider of the day. That is Bentley Niket Olden of the Case team. But it looks like his day is all over, as we see the chasers make the junction, and it looks like we've got a few key players in here, certainly the teams, that's for sure, as we see Burnett, who got a free ride across there, now makes his move off the front, and there's no reaction from the others, and the main peloton not too far behind. Now this is a guy, as we said at the top of the show, SBS Bank Tour Southland winner. He has won up the likes of the ski resort up Coronet Peak for a stage before. He's been second up Bluff Hill, so we know he has the standards to be able to climb when it comes up to these big climbs, and he's powering into it here as he tries to stay at bay, keep at bay I should say, the rest of the chasers. Meanwhile for his team, he's got his tour leader man, James Oram, sitting nicely back in the main group. Black Spoke are playing a very good chess on wheels here as they make their way through to the final closing kilometres, but what kilometres they are. There is a section that he is approaching here known to the locals as the wall, and they are certainly going to hit that a number of these riders here. As we said, the gradients start getting up 18%, and you can see looking over his shoulder hoping that nobody is trying to get themselves across. As we said, 8 weeks ago, he was in fantastic form, but form can change very, very quickly. And it looks like he's going to have someone join him here midway up the climb. And completely different stature altogether. This is our man from the Netherlands, who's now based in Thailand. It is Van Egeler, and that's who's got himself onto the front of the race here. And Burnett trying desperately to hold onto his wheel. Look at this young man go. He is winding those gears as quick as he possibly can, making the most now of the little bit of a descent before they do the last kicker up towards the finish here. They haven't got a huge gap on the chasing peloton, and when I say a peloton, it is being whittled down all the time. They are starting to splinter into small sort of groups. Meanwhile, Burnett, he's just trying to get the heart rate to settle, to calm things down here. He knows he's got a potential to take a stage victory here if he can get the body to react the way he wants as they start to approach into those last couple of kilometres. But no doubt about the man from the Netherlands, he is doing a power of work here in the latter part of this final climb. And you can see the vehicle stuck in behind here, giving an indication these guys have opened up a gap of around 30 seconds here. So they are looking very smart indeed. And this could potentially, regardless of a win or not, put Burnett into the yellow jersey. As the Dutchman leads on out, he starts to wind it up. We're getting down to 400 metres. He's looking good and strong here. Burnett, the Southlander, though, he is poised. He is waiting to pounce. Who's got the strength? Who wants it the most here on day 3, the Queen stage, the UCI stage? This would be a first for both of these boys here. Both of them want it desperately as they try and pound on the pedals. The body is hurting. The legs are screaming. The lactic acid is burning for the two of them as they get down to those last few hundred meters, which seem to continue on and on in this Admiral Hills climb, a hill that has been put on this tour a number of times and has been a defining factor in the tour. And it looks like yet again it is going to make a massive difference to the campaign for a number of riders. As the sprint, if you can call it that, on a hill like this starts up, you can see Burnett. He grits the teeth. He wants this the most. He comes round the outside. He digs deep and he gets it. He goes 2 lengths clear and he takes out his first ever UCI stage here at the 2023 New Zealand Cycle Classic. And how's this for outstanding? The man in yellow, his teammate, comes across in 3rd place. That should be enough to continue to hold on to the yellow jersey going into day 4 here in the 2023 New Zealand Cycle Classic. But Josh Burnett, what an outstanding effort here, an 155k massive stage, the Queen stage, too fast, too powerful. He takes out a fine victory indeed.
Brilliant.
Oh, Josh, you've got to be pretty ecstatic with a result like that.
Yeah, it was just a massive credit to the whole team today. You know, all the boys were super selfless at the start of the race, bringing that break back, and then with James's hard work, it gave me the bit of the opportunity to sit on until it really counted. So it was just a massive team effort today, and I'm stoked that I could cap it off for the boys.
Of course, we had a few guys off the front. In fact, the last one only been captured with the 145k mark.
Yeah, it was a big effort from those guys, and obviously we had Ollie, Batty, Mudgee, Curry, pretty much everyone was rolling today and to bring it back, and yeah, I can't thank those boys enough for bringing it back just in time.
Well, James, you've got to be pretty happy with your man taking out a stage.
Oh, it's a perfect scenario today. The boys were amazing. We only really got a little bit of help from MitoQ towards the end there. And a couple of our guys also had the stomach bug that's going around. So, we basically had 6 guys, but really 4 in the end there. Luke Mudgeway and Logan Curry towards those last few laps really dug deep. Put Josh and myself in perfect position. We really just had to follow and cover there. Josh got away at the base of the climb, and it was perfect scenario. I just had to follow and watch him win. It was awesome.
And Josh, of course, Rujai, the man from the Netherlands there, he was right up there putting a lot of pressure on those last couple of Ks.
Yeah, he did a lot of work in the last few Ks. Unfortunately, I knew that James was behind, so could play a bit of cat and mouse, and managed to get around him just at the finish line, so it was nice to tick it off.
And it must be a great relief as a team today to get this one out of the way. Of course, the Queen stage, and a lot could have happened, and a lot of pressure was being put on the team.
Oh yeah, it's massive to win up here. Testament to the great work from the boys and the support team we have here. Obviously all the staff have been working really hard all week, so it's nice for this to kind of be a payoff to them. And it's obviously a great start to the season. That's 2 wins from 3 stages, and 2 more amazing opportunities to go for either a sprint finish or we put one of the boys up the road.
Well done, guys. Great team effort today.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Well, Bentley, they talk about going off the front in a stage in any particular tour, but today you took that to the extreme, 145k.
Yeah, we had a pretty cohesive group out there. We had one guy going for sprints, one for KOM, and then there was myself and one other guy happy just rolling through. So, group worked really well together until sort of that last bit of the lap. So from there on, I sort of thought I'd take the bull by the horns and see how it went. And it, got further than I thought I would.
Of course, there was a group of 4 of you there for quite some time. Was there much discussion about the potential of taking out the stage?
It's not so much the stage. I think it was always going to be pretty ambitious, such a long-range attack. So, I think 2 of those guys were there just for jerseys. So, and I was sort of there just to get the jersey up there and sort of see what eventuated. And we got out to 5 minutes, so sort of started to dream a little bit there, but it wasn't to be.
Well, congratulations. You certainly lit the race up today. It was great to see.
Thank you very much.